The views and opinions heard on this show do not necessarily reflect the views of the host.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Real Spiritual Talk Radio.
My breathing had stopped for so long that my heart actually ended up stopping.
You saw what I did and said that I was going to die.
And then I remember being gone. I wasn't there anymore.
I sort of lifted up about 6 feet above my body.
A pinprick of light appeared and came rushing toward me faster than the speed of light.
And then this light, all of a sudden it was all completely around me.
He says, I am God. Yes, I am real.
The main message was loving yourself and loving others.
It was clearly shown to me.
It was really hard to put into words. It felt like I had been there before.
It was just this very personal, impersonal, unconditional love.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Real Spiritual Talk Radio. I am your host, Lamont Gates, once again bringing you the world of faith, metaphysicality, and spirituality. Today, my guest was given the answer to life's purpose and lives a life with every intention to fulfill what was spoken to him, regardless of the obstacles. Let's get it started. Ladies and gentlemen, joining me via telephone is near-death experiencer and author, Russ Horman. Russ, welcome to Real Spiritual Talk Radio.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Absolutely no problem at all. I understand you have a story to tell concerning your account as well as a book that outlines this. I also understand, though, that this book isn't titled in your actual name for specific reasons, and we will get into that. But before we do, let's get historically acquainted. Tell us what you believe, for example, as a child growing up about the topic of spirituality and or religion. What was it that you were taught?
Basic Christian beliefs, brought up as a Christian, believe in Jesus, and that we went to church every Sunday, and I wouldn't say I had anything unusual teachings or anything like that growing up. Just basically, I believe in Jesus. For sure, he walked this earth and did some miraculous things while he was here. That's for sure. I definitely believe that.
So, did religion or spirituality ever guide your life later on, or were you more secular in your view?
Well, it's just pretty common, normal, is just about anybody. I would say up until the point I got shot, then, I had this magnificent experience happen, and then it changed my whole outlook on everything.
So let's talk about it. How old were you when your near-death experience occurred?
I believe I was about 38. Let me see, the day I was shot was October 8, 2001, just about a month after 9/11.
Okay, we know you were shot. What was it, though, that led to your near-death experience? Who shot you, and what was it over?
I had my own private club, and we'd always, after we closed, we'd go back to my place and have like a little after-hours party for wind down for a couple hours, and then, go home from there. But, so we'd have little parties all the time. Well, one time, this girl I had been seeing said, "Oh, I've got a couple friends coming over. Is that okay?" And I'm like, "Well, I guess that's okay." And sure enough, we're partying, and knock comes at the door, and I was walking her up to the door to see who it is, and they're like, "Can we come in?" So I said, "Sure, come on in." We kept partying, and then all of a sudden, one of the guys pulls out this gun and says, "Give me all your money, give me everything you got." And we were doing drugs at the time, and I guess just right after we got done smoking some weed or something, and then he pulls his gun out and says, "Give me all your money and give me all your drugs and everything you got." And I didn't know that this girl was in on it. And so I thought I had to protect her. So when the guy pulled the gun out, I hit his gun with my right hand, and he was holding it in his right hand. I hit it with my right hand, and it turned in his hand, and it shot me twice in the chest. One bolt went in and out of me, and into a desk behind me, to where this girl was sitting. And the other one hit my upper chest, where it is today. It's still in my chest. Well, I got the gun away from the guy, and my adrenaline was fighting him, and then his buddy come up behind me and shot me twice in the back, 2 times. And that one hurt. That took out my heart, my bowel, my bladder, my esophagus, my small intestine. That one did all the damage, and it took the wind out of my sails, and and you could imagine what gunfire will do at a party, you know.
So this was all over a robbery that this girl you were involved with had a part in.
She set me up to get robbed. I had a lot of nice things in my house. And, but basically, everybody skedaddled out of there, and I'm yelling to my roommate to call me an ambulance, and the cops show up, and they're questioning me, and I'm like, who did this? Who did that? And I'm just thinking, hey, can you just, get me an ambulance? And I'm laying on my back, and I feel my lungs filling up full of blood, and I said, I gotta be on my side here. I know I'm gonna die. So they kept me on my side, and they put me in the ambulance and took me up to the hospital. I talked to them all the way up to the hospital. And when we got into the hospital I guess they were waiting for me out. You know, they knew I was coming, and they're waiting outside for me, and they pull around, and they opened up the door, and as soon as they started pulling me, this is about 3 o'clock in the morning, as soon as they started pulling me out of the ambulance, there's this nurse. She starts to cut my clothes off, and she goes to put this mask on me. And I'm like, no, keep the mask off, fix me while I'm awake. You're not going to make me go to sleep. She goes, no, you have to go to sleep. And I'm like, no, because I don't want to die. She goes, don't worry, you're not going to die. Well, she put that mask on me, and all I could think about was, man, I wish I would have wanted to tell my mom I love her, because I know I'm not going to live through this. Well, I'm going to sleep, and the next thing I remember is I'm floating in the air above my body, and I'm looking down at my body, and I'm like, I knew I was going to die. I knew I didn't want her to put me to sleep. And, it went from there to this really intense, wonderful, magnificent transformation I went through and felt. It was so exhilarating. It was unbelievable. And, and I go into a lot of this stuff in my book. It was magnificent, absolutely incredible. And I was in a coma for 10 days. When I woke up, I knew things I didn't know before. And I had gone to the spirit world, and I had met my guardian angel. And it turns out that we were together in a past life. And when that life was over, I had to come back and do it all over again, but she didn't have to. So she's been like watching over me and everything. And I look back on how many times in my life, and I wrote about all these experiences where I should have died, and I didn't die. There's at least a half a dozen things I talk about in the book that I should have died from. But I didn't realize, until I got shot, why am I surviving all this, And then I meet my guardian angel, and I realize, oh, that's why I survived. She's like been there for me my whole life. When I was a little kid, almost bled to death, she was there, and this is where you really need to read the book, because so many times I should have died, it's just miraculous. Well, I didn't realize that I had a purpose to live. I had to live. She wanted me to make it through this life because she didn't want me, she wants us to be together and to learn what I need to learn so we can be together. So one of the things I know is the best thing that will ever happen to you is if you don't have to be a saint, if you don't create a bunch of bad karma for yourself, the best thing that will ever happen to you is you will die and have this magnificent transformation into your next phase of existence. The other thing that I learned was the reason why we come here is because we have to come here and get a body so that we can learn everything that we need to learn that we can't learn without a body, like what is pain and suffering and lust and passion and all those things that we couldn't comprehend without getting a body. So we come here and we get a body and we learn all that stuff. It's a part of a progression of learning, and you go from one phase of existence to learn one thing and you move on, and everybody has their own journey. Everybody has their own desires which control their actions, and that's why they have your own journey. Everybody has their own desires, but we learn things at different rates. What makes you happy may not make me happy. We're all different. So heaven is not the same for everybody. Heaven is like a ultimate destination where you go through each phase of existing, learning and growing and becoming powerful, and till you come to a phase where you're content, and then you don't want to move on. You're happy there. You're content there. And it's like I say, each journey it all depends on, the individual.
Sounds like there's a lot of free will going on. We hear about free will here on Earth, but here in your case, it seems the soul has the same free will, since it has its own interests and its own will to move forth and learn particular lessons.
Learn and grow. Yeah, knowledge is power, and some people want more power than other people, and it's just like totally individually. Karma has so much to do with everything too, because there's no such thing as medium karma. There's only good karma and bad karma, and if you're not creating good karma for yourself, you're obviously creating some bad karma somewhere that you need to recognize. Well, if I do good, and you get in the cycle of good and it creates more good, or if you do bad, or you try to stay even, you get into that other type of cycle. But once you start going down whatever road you choose, it's harder to turn back, or it's easier to keep going forward down that pathway.
So this may explain what you mentioned earlier about how this angelic being you shared a past life with did not have to come back, yet you did. Do you believe it was due to a karmic debt you owed, or some lesson you still had to learn?
Exactly. I think what happened was I didn't know what one lesson I didn't learn was heartbreak. Okay. And when I was with her, and I remember this now, bits and pieces coming back to me, and after I had this experience with her, she helped me remember a lot of things. I loved her. I knew what it was. I knew how it felt to love, but and she had learned everything she needed to learn, but I didn't know I think heartbreak was the one I needed to learn. Trust me, in this life, I've experienced a lot of that, which is, that's good, because I needed to learn that. It helps you build humility and so many other things that are tied to heartbreak that are very important to learn, that you need to learn. Like we have free agency, and the only reason we have free agency is because there's a balance between good and evil. We could not have free agency if we didn't have evil. We wouldn't be given a choice to do evil because everything would be good, right? So we have to have evil to balance things out so that you have free agency, so you can learn and take those choices and go down that pathway, because it's just like a test. We're learning, but we're finding out who we are and what pathway we're going down. You know, there's a lot to it.
Yes, I completely understand. Now, take us back to the experience. Was there any other information? Did you see anything else? What was it like prior to coming back to your body?
Okay, so when I had some things that a lot of people talk about. I went through that tunnel, and what that is that's a wormhole. It takes you to another place. And I went through this wormhole, and I went to a planet. It was an actual place. I would believe it was a spirit world, a beautiful place. But it looked different. It didn't have like blue skies. It had more like orange skies, kind of like our sunset. And it had an ocean that was, it was kind of reddish orange too, but it was really a beautiful place, with everything. It was an actual place. I was there in spirit form, but I would imagine, I've seen people coming and going and groups of people doing different things, and you could all see that they were, you could see their shape of the people, what they looked like, but it wasn't a solid body, and they could see me too. So yeah, I believe so that we're in the spirit world there, and she's communicating with me with just a glance. Like, I've seen her, and all of a sudden I know who she is, and all of a sudden I know this other stuff. And it turns out she's my guardian angel, and I want to be with her, but she's like, no, you can't. You still have to things that you need to learn that you can only learn here. You have to go back. And here I got shot 4 times, multiple surgeries. I was flatlined for 6 minutes, in a coma for 10 days. And usually, in a situation like that, your body's usually that messed up. I think you get another chance in a new body. Usually if your body's really messed up, you're not going to be able to come back to it. And I was in pretty tore up shape, but no, I made it back. It was a miracle that I made it back. Just like it was a miracle, I survived so many car accidents, shootings, hanging, overdoses. I almost bled to death, urinated myself to death when I was a little kid. And it's all in the book, and it's a true story. Everything in that book is true. But the only reason I wrote that book is to raise money for kids that are homeless. And that's where my heart is. That's really the only thing I care about since I've been recovering from this whole thing. It's like I don't care about my own stuff anymore. I just care about helping other people. And I've got a daughter. I got her when she was 5 months old. She's 14 now, and I raised her on my own. Beautiful kid. She would have been in the foster care system, but I was able to save her from that. And I had other foster kids too, but now what I want to do is open up an independent living program and a trade school for kids that age out of foster care and don't have a place to go.
And that's absolutely fascinating. So talk to us a bit more about this book. I understand you used a pseudonym for your author name. Can you explain to us why you did this?
Okay, that's kind of a funny story. So you wouldn't believe the hoops you got to jump through sometimes to get things published. Well, my publisher did not want me to use my real name because he didn't want the two guys that shot me to use the book and track me down and shoot me again. So, they told me I had to use a pen name, and I was like, okay, how about just in case? Just in case they're coming to look me up, they're gonna find just in case they're looking for me. and not me, I guess. So that's how I picked up that name, is just in case they're coming to look for me. That's why I had to use a pen name.
So, explain to me now. I know you recently did an interview on Fox 13 in Utah where you gave your real name, as well as having a Facebook page which also has your real name. Are you actually afraid of these people finding you, or is it solely your publisher?
Well, that's not a concern of mine for a few reasons. Like, one is I'm not afraid of dying. I know that I look forward to that magnificent transformation. I don't have a death wish, but I look forward to that. So I'm not afraid of dying, for one. And, you know, the guys, like one of the guys that shot was 17, and the other guy was an illegal alien, and they both got 5 to 15 years. And, the kid, when he turned 18, went to prison. And then after he did, 4 years, I went to his parole hearing, and he seen me there, and they asked me what I wanted to say, and I said, hey, you know what? He's just a kid, and he knows he made a mistake. I says, let him out, give him a chance. He wants to go to Snow College. He's got plans, and I forgive him. I think you should give him a chance to let him out. And the kid heard me say that. He was like, I can't believe you're here trying to help me get out after what I did to you. But, you know, I just felt so sorry for him that he was a kid when he shot me, and he was going to turn 18 and go to prison for how long? Up to 15 years. I did not want a part of that. There's no way I could stand and let that happen.
So tell us where we can find this book.
Okay, so really important, ageoutkids.com. Please go to ageoutkids.com, because there you can get the book, and that's where I'm going to post how I spend, and every dime I get, I'm going to post how I spend it on that website, so people know all the money from this book goes to help these kids that are homeless or outside freezing to death and starving to death. But yeah, ageoutkids.com. It's in any of the bookstores that are selling books, and it's on Amazon and Kindle. So yeah, it's anywhere books are available.
Well, Russ, I want to thank you for your time here on Real Spiritual Talk Radio. I think what your goal is here concerning the children is certainly a reflection of the spiritual realm you return from, that very often, according to other experiencers, teach that love, mercy, and compassion are all that matter.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks for having me on. I sure enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Russ Horman. And I want to thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Real Spiritual Talk Radio. Please find me on my Facebook page, Real Spiritual Talk Radio, and there you will find past shows as well as other relevant information concerning near-death experiences. You can also type in my name, Lamont Gates, on YouTube, and there you will find the same. Once again, I thank you all for tuning in, and I hope that you are all being spiritually enlightened, as I am, based on these near-death experience accounts. And with that said, I am your host, Lamont Gates, and this is Real Spiritual Talk Radio, now signing off.